we do have a pretty substantial problem to address with the wide receiver room tonight, and it involves Chris Brazzell. He was arrested over the weekend for going 60 miles an hour in a 35-mile-an-hour speed zone. And to add on to that, he was driving on a suspended license because of a missed court date from back in 2024. And I don't want to pile on too much, but you look at the guys that Tennessee has gotten out of the transfer portal under Josh Heupel. There have been a few guys that have been successful, right? Guys like Velus Jones. I know Pruitt got him, but he still had a very good second year out there for Tennessee. Brew McCoy, when healthy, was very, very good. Hendon Hooker obviously was terrific. Dante Thornton, I think, is one that if he had stayed healthier, he could have been really, really good for this Tennessee team. And then you look at the ones that haven't done so well. I think Lance Hurd, a big part of it for him has been just trying to rehabilitate from injury mid-season is not an ideal thing to do. But I think my least favorite right now has got to be Chris Brazzell because, and I don't know how much of this is on Nico. It could have very well been, right? But he was underwhelming last season. Let's call it like it is. He didn't have a stellar 2024 season. None of the receivers really did, but I just think you thought you were going to get so much more out of him. Now you're expecting him to move into that receiver one role, kind of take on a little bit more of a leadership role on this team. And not only is he hurt, he's doing this while he's hurt. And he was back in individual drills today going at half speed from what I saw just from the reporters that were there. But if this doesn't light a fire under him to go out and prove the haters wrong, then I don't know what will.
Yeah, I mean, of course, every Tennessee fan is hoping that he can have like that breakthrough season. I mean, maybe this could be a motivating factor for it, but like the more I've looked into the details of his situation, it didn't sound as bad as it initially did when you like saw the headline and saw that he was arrested, because apparently like his license was suspended before because he failed to appear in court, but originally he was charged with failure to carry vehicle insurance. So that was the whole reason like all of this started to begin with. I mean, I think on the bright side, not trying to make any justifications, because obviously you shouldn't be going 60 in a 35 zone. But like, at least there is not like, it doesn't sound like he was trying like speed race, or he didn't have like any weapons, no drugs, nothing like that. No like violence of any sort. So on the bright side, I mean, at least that they're like, I don't think this necessarily explains character issues to him, for him per se. So I think that's one takeaway that you could get from this.
Yeah, that's a positive. And unlike Myles Garrett, who was apparently cited for going 160 last night, he's being a little bit safer. I just saw that on the Twitter timeline. Couldn't help but mention it just with this conversation. But, the Heupel era, you've not seen too many disciplinary issues. I'm trying to think. There was some situation with a cat and like a reserve linebacker in the first year. You had the Jalen McCullough situation in 2022, but I mean, when a guy breaks into your dorm and starts yelling things at your girlfriend or your apartment, what are you going to do? You want to chase that guy out of your apartment if he's yelling all kinds of mean things at your girlfriend. And then the other one was James Pierce last season, or 2 seasons ago, I should say, with the routine traffic stop. So there have been some situations, but they've thankfully been few and far between. And we've seen much worse than this one. I think this is something that the staff can get right, and they will get right. But you really need to see a lot from Chris this season, just because it's been one of the more disappointing acquisitions so far out of the portal.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, he was like a young guy coming out of Tulane, and like I'm looking at his stats right now. I mean, before he came to Tennessee, he had 700 yards. So, I mean, not too far off from 1,000. He had 5 touchdowns, and I'm assuming he was probably like wide receiver 2, number 3 in that Tulane offense, and was still putting up decent numbers. But then, like, he came to Tennessee. his numbers were literally like half of that, like 300 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, he's been underwhelming for sure. But I mean, I feel like it's been like that with a lot of the receivers as of like at least the past season or so. I mean, I know we mentioned Thornton, and like, unfortunately he wasn't in the system longer and didn't have as much to shine. But I felt like he underperformed a little bit. And then, like Mike Matthews seemingly just did not get any targets last year, which I think surprised a lot of fans. I think he may have had like 5 catches or something like that the entire season. So, I mean, Tennessee is going to need Brazzell this year to really step it up. I mean, especially if he is going to be that wide receiver one kind of role, then yes, I mean, Tennessee's going to have to rely on him a lot this season, especially with a brand new quarterback, whether it's Merklinger or if it's Aguilar, it doesn't matter. They're still going to need experienced guys out there. And like, you would hate for Mike Matthews to have to be the guy, even though like, I think he has the talent potential to be so, but like, you don't want that kind of pressure hanging on like a 19-year-old, 20-year-old's head.
Yeah, I think you definitely want him to potentially take over as that guy. Either him or Braylon Staley can really emerge as the most productive receiver in this system. Staley's another one that has been dealing with some injuries as well, so that makes basically all 3 of them that have been banged up at some period in camp, which is not great. But you got to find a guy in this room because I think that was a little bit of the problem last year. You had a few too many good receivers on your team, which, I mean, that sounds like a good problem to have, but as you got into the regular season, it kind of presented itself like, okay, we don't really know our roles here. Who is supposed to be the first option, and like who is Nico's first option on this team? You just didn't see that. You didn't see it last year, and I don't know if that was a detriment to Nico or what over the course of the season. But it is something you're going to have to establish this year, I think, if you want to see a better offense.
Yeah, and speaking of last season, like I like what you said about Nico and everything, because even after the season ended, I don't even know if there was a true wide receiver number one. Like I think a lot of us expected Brew McCoy to be that guy, but I mean, he dealt with his injuries and everything, and of course had to medically retire recently. But I mean, yeah, like there really didn't seem to be a number one guy when there always was like in years prior, like with Jalen Hyatt, and then like even before then, Cedric Tillman was doing good before Hyatt had the breakout. I mean, so yeah, I mean, it's an interesting thing that you mentioned there, because like the more I think about it, yeah, there's not a number one receiver that really shined last season.